I remember, like I said, watching the first single and hearing people kind of think you guys were gimmicky. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you heard True Fushnik, it changed everything. My wife was just singing True Fushnik a little earlier.
That's
Um,
dope.
yeah, she was like, that kind of that hard, way to set off an album kind of changed
Right.
things. And then Lash Move, the video took it to another level.
Yes.
When we heard Leave It to Beaver Reva, we was like, yo, hold up, hold up, hold up. It
Yes,
kind of
sir.
separated you
Uh-huh.
more visually, because we heard on the album, it's like, okay, Chip is killing everything. But then when we saw the video, it was like everybody kind of gravitated to it. Everybody knew you were
Mhm.
the anchor, you were the one.
Right.
And I'm bringing this up because I remember when Wu-Tang dropped,
Mm-hmm.
I was one of those people that was like, nah, man, it was like you had to choose, right? Fu or Wu.
Right.
I was like, nah, Fool's niggas did it first. You know
Right.
what I'm
Right. Right.
saying?
Right.
And as time went on, I kind of was like, all right, it's different. And
Right.
I, and
Right.
I
Right.
I realized you didn't have to choose. But what was that like living it? Like seeing them come out, people
It was
thinking,
honestly, it was beautiful. I'll tell you what.
okay,
I'm one of those people that I don't think like everybody else.
mm,
Right? To see them do it and to do it the way they did it,
yeah,
but done before. They didn't do what we did,
no, they
right?
didn't.
They definitely didn't do what we did. They elevated that to something else. So me sitting there and watching, I knowing RZA and knowing Jizza, right? The
Yeah,
Tommy Boy days and all this other stuff and watching them when they was first starting out. For me, it was like, congrats, because
mm,
they did something totally different, right? Karate and everything. Even seeing their videos, I'm like, that shit is wicked. I
yeah,
wasn't a, I'm not a hater.
okay,
I'm not
okay,
a, I sat there, I was like, yo, the what was it, the chess boxing video and
yeah, chess
the
boxing,
preview.
yeah,
I'm like, yo, come on, look how dope that is. I was like, yeah, I
okay,
wish at the time I came up with something like that, but
okay,
they did it. You know what I mean? And even meeting Raekwon and Ghost, I said it. I was like, yo, y'all really did that, yo. That's dope to me. And we
mm,
laughed it off or whatever. And again, you're always gonna see people who did this first, who did that first or whatever, but it's always about elevation. Even if you think about it, J. Rule, his glossy photos, he was in the Chinese gi.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, true,
Apu
yeah,
Ra was
Afura,
wearing
yeah,
Chinese gi. The
yeah,
Beastie Boys were wearing Chinese gi. So it
yeah,
was nothing different. It was just more so we wore them to talk about the lyrical styles and techniques that we've mastered. Like, yo, we
yeah,
some styles, bro. Like you turn that beat on and you gonna see what's up. That was our
yeah,
their approach was the Shaolin, the whole story, Staten Island, the Lost City,
yeah,
it, it
yeah,
it worked for them, and I'm glad that it did. You know what I mean? I'm glad
yeah,
that it did for them. For real. Because I don't think that
yeah.
you're gonna see another group. You're not gonna see another group like the fu-schnickens, and you're not gonna
No,
see another group like Wu-Tang.
no,
That's not gonna happen.
no.
Yeah,
I get it.
that's
I
I
get it.
definitely I big them up for real.
Yeah, you influenced a lot of MCs.
Yes, I can say that now. Yes, sir. I
Yeah, and
did.
it's factual, right? It's not like conjecture. We're not,
Right.
exaggerating. It's not hyperbole.
Mhm.
You can hear when Jay came out, there was some similarities to what you were doing in
Mhm.
some ways.
Yeah.
Um, I talked about this with my guy the other day, and you
Mhm.
mentioned Arsenio,
Mhm.
and I talked about the scenario performance and Buster's breakout, right? And I thought to myself, I'm not saying that should have been you, could have been you, but if you think about Chip Fu, the the rapper, the artist, the lyricist, the
Mhm.
showman, right?
Yeah.
That lane,
Mhm.
and I don't like that because I have a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas in my career, right? It happens all the time. We always think if I'd have turned left here, turn right here, but
Yeah.
we're very grateful where we are, right?
Right.
But when I hear speed rap, when I saw antics, when I'm seeing his ascension as a solo artist, why didn't the solo thing happen around that time?
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you. All right. So let's say like 92. Now let's say
Mhm.
like 93.
Okay.
Jive came to me.
Okay.
Like, yo. you ready to do this solo album?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready to do this solo album." I was sitting there with all the ideas. I'm gonna do this.
Okay.
Half of it was gonna be dance hall, the other half was gonna be this is gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
So then I said, "Yo, what's gonna happen to my team?" It was like, "Well, you know, right now we only focused on your solo album." And they brought the way how they did it was disrespectful to me because they brought the group to Jive to have a meeting, but they only wanted me in the meeting, and they left and the other two was sitting outside. So I remember going in there, and they told me that they wanted me to do a solo album, and I thought about it. I was like, "What's gonna happen to my other two group members?" Like, the fuck, we got this far. You guys got a platinum album on your wall and gold
Right.
singles, so. It's like, nah, everybody, they're talking about you and doing this solo album. And I'm like, yeah, but so they was like, it's on you. Either you do the solo album or you could do another fu-schnickens album. I was like, no, I'm gonna do another fu-schnickens album. I'm not gonna do a solo album. I'm gonna wait. But then going into the going into the solo album,
Yeah.
um, I felt selfless, like, yo, all right, cool. This is my way of helping, to make sure that we're all good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I want it to be situations where, oh, this nigga Chip, da da da. You know how people could be, even though that's
Yeah.
me as
Yeah.
a person. But we went in and we did the second album. The second album, there was a lot of rumbling in the group, changes where outside influences or whatever. But for me, it was like, yo, I'm still here. Like I told y'all what I told you guys what it was. There's no wavering on my side. We're gonna stick this shit out and we're gonna do this other album.
Mm.
Did the album. Album went gold. You understand what I'm saying? But then Jive wanted us to do something else. And as far as different production. And in my mind, I'm like, well, you signed us for sounding like how we sound, right?
Yeah.
And we sold these records, so we don't think we should change up any more than we have. You know what I
This
mean?
was the third album? Or
This was the second album.
second album. Second album.
Right. So after that, I was like, yo, I think we just need to call it quits, right? Just right now. Two albums, let's call it quits. Let's just stop because it's going to turn into something that's not us. And I don't want that. I'd rather people be like, yo, them niggas put out them two albums right there. You know what I'm saying? That's history or whatever. You know what I mean? It was hurtful because I didn't get my chance at the time. But I'm one of those people that say, yo, God sees everything. You know what I mean?
Mm.
God knows my heart. And I did it understanding that, yo, we're brothers. They gave me a platform. I was the last person to join the group.
Mm.
I was the last person to join the group, and they gave me a platform. Anything that I wanted to do, they stood behind me 110% when it came to anything. Even if we didn't agree on it, they was like, fuck it, go ahead, try it. Go, well, yeah, do whatever. Me and Pac had that relationship where he'd be like, no, yes, no, and we understood it because that's how we argued or spoke to each other when we was kids. Nah, nigga, that's mine now later. Whatever the case it was, we
Yeah. Yeah.
understood that. And from that, we just grew as men. You know what I mean? So we understood it was like, yo, let's just call it quits. There's too much rumbling. Let's just do what we have to do. It was hurtful to me because I had one of the and what's his name? Blue Williams, who
My God, Blue.
Blue.
Outcast manager
Yeah, Outcast manager. He used to he
back
used to
then.
manage us through Flavor Unit.
Yes. Yeah. He told me that. Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, yo, you have one of the biggest buzz right now in the industry.
Yeah.
You need to do it, Chip. I was like, I gotta. And even the other day, he was like, yo, I gotta tell him, yo, you had the biggest, bro, the biggest buzz. Everybody was like, all right. So is this dude gonna do a solo album? And I was like, nah, I can't. I'm not gonna do that to my brothers. You know what I'm saying? We came this far. You know what I mean?
But couldn't you do? Well, I want to say like Buster did, but Buster he put them on his album. He was supposed to do a leaders out reunion, but I
Right.
guess
Right. But at the time, Jive was moving real iffy, right? And for me, it was like, let's see what happens with this album, the second album,
okay.
right? So put the second album out. Um, Jive just started acting real different and funny. And well, again, there was rumblings. And for me, it was just like, yo, get out now. I rather keep my friendship and self-respect with my brothers than anything else to allow a company to divide us when it comes to certain things. You know what I'm saying? Because they weren't in the ciphers, right? They don't know what it was driving to certain places just to get on the mic and getting into fights. It was us three getting into these fights just to touch that mic. You know what I mean? That's a company that made money off of that. You know,
Yeah.
so it was like, yo, it's either me or my brothers. So
So
for
after
after
that walking away,
yeah,
what
after
did
that
what did you
walking
do?
away, after that walking away, I took a little time off for myself, and I went back to school. I went to school. I went to Kingsborough, studied physical therapy sciences, got my degree in that, got my degree in deep tissue massage, second degree mastery. I just
Mm,
started I stayed in school for some years, just learning. I wanted to learn everything.
yeah.
After that, I worked at Cobble Hill, downtown Brooklyn, working with, in a nursing home, was one of the head physical therapists there. No one knew. And I was just like, yo,
I heard with
right.
Colin.
I was just like, yo, let me just figure this out. And then, you know, God shows up in the weirdest ways where they had this patient that couldn't walk. And they were just like, yo, he doesn't listen to nobody. All he does is sit there with his headphones on.
Mm,
I was like, yo, let me work with him. I walked over to him. I was like, yo, you got to walk in the parallel bars or whatever. He was like, what? Took off his headphones. Yo, man, I'm here listening to my hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Da.
yeah.
I'm like, yo, chill out, man. We got to walk in the parallel bars. And he was like, yo, what you know about hip hop? I was like, man, I don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I rolled him over to the parallel bars and he was like, yo, man, hip hop ain't the same no more. And I'm listening to him.
Yeah.
You right. And I'm taking the straps off. Yeah, you're right. I locked the wheelchair, whatever. And I said, yo, when you stand up and look me straight in the face. So he stood up. So I had to hold his back so he could understand what balance is in the bar. So I held him.
Mm,
Like, yo, you know who my favorite MC is? I was like, who? He said, yo, this nigga named Chip Fu. So I stood there and I looked at him and he's looking at me and I'm holding back the tears,
mm,
right? So I sat him back down in the wheelchair and locked it. I said, yo, give me a minute, man. I went in the bathroom. I was like, yo, God, I don't know what you're doing.
wow.
This is uncomfortable. Like, what are you
Yeah.
saying? And I went out there and I said, he was like, yo, you all right? I said, yeah, I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? Let's just work. I'm gonna work with you. So every day he came downstairs, I'm pushing him in this thing, pushing him like, yo, you gonna walk. So he finally learns how to walk and he says to me, yo, I only wanted to walk so I could marry my wife because I couldn't stand up. I was like,
Wow.
you can stand now. So his wife comes and everything and they're thanking me. So I said, yo, um, Chip Fu, huh? He said, yeah. So I gave him my tag on my schmuck. I said, hey,
Yeah.
I said, that name look familiar to you? He's like, nah. I said, you always on the computer in the room. Go type that name up. So he typed the name up in the computer and lost it. He was like, get out of here. Yo, you taught me how to walk. Yo, my favorite MC. My boss didn't know. No one knew because I was
No
just like,
one knew.
let me just do what I gotta do. I'm here to do
Yeah.
whatever. So he's there crying, and I'm standing there like, yo, God, this is crazy. He brought his wife. Then about 30 people came. And then my boss was like, come on, there's 30 people in here taking pictures with you. Like, you're not the head doctor here or whatever.
Yeah.
I told him what it was. And he was just like, oh, why you didn't tell anybody? I was like, no, I wanted to stay focused on what I was doing. But then
Right.
then I was like, yo, should I, go back and do whatever? And I think those moments brought me to a point where I was like, well, I had to go through this point right now because experiences make you think different.
Yeah.
That was the biggest eye opener, one of the biggest eye openers in my life for that to happen. And I knew at that moment what it was. It couldn't have been nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing else for that dude to look me in my face and say, Chip Fool, and I'm staring at him and he's staring at me. And he's looking at me like, yeah, nigga, I know it's you. And I'm like, nah, he can't be doing that. And then
Right.
yeah.
I love these
I-
stories, man.
He became an ordained minister.
Wow.
So he would call me now and then, yo, thank you. You made me stand up and marry my wife. I'm just checking in on you. And I'm like, "Ah, I'm good,
Yeah.
bro. You're not doing any music?" I said, I'm working on it, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm working on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that brought me back to the music. That brought me back to the music.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. watching. Subscribe.
Real spitters take no bars off. Huh. Yeah. MCs take no bars off.